Today, George Rogers Clark is celebrated as the conqueror of the Midwest, a man who defied the British and secured the heartlands. But as a nation, our memory can be a bit selective.
He was presented as the conqueror of the Midwest, and he did not conquer the Midwest. George Rogers Clark was asked to come to the Midwest, including to Indiana during the American Revolution, in order to secure forts for the rebel cause. That's what Vincennes was. It was just this place really in the middle of nowhere, but this was where the fur traders radiated.
Vincennes was without any significant fortifications, but massive strategic benefit.
At the time, it had a great deal of symbolic value because the British commander came from Detroit and occupied the fort.
Clark raced for the fort.
That's the epic moment where he marches during the winter with minimal supplies.
With only a few men in the garrison, Lord Hamilton surrendered after a brief siege. Clark was celebrated as a hero, but not for long.
Even though he captured the British commander, next commander continued to sponsor raids into Ohio and into Kentucky.
As for George Rogers Clark, his decades of military service were drawing to a humiliating close.
Misread things, and he made some serious missteps that cost him his reputation.
But even as the Revolutionary War ended, the battle for land in the West only intensified.
We start having raids going back and forth, which is what starts what you might call the Northwest Indian Wars. We would call the Mishamalsa Wars. That's what kind of sparks that, is their need for land to sell to pay off all their war debts.
To the settlers, the lands of the West were an untapped source of wealth to fill the treasury of a brand new nation. One by one, the Native American tribes were forced to cede more and more land.
In 1795, with the Treaty of Greenville, that cedes mostly the southern half of Ohio, and that's just from us.
In 1846, the U.S. Army rounded up the Miami at gunpoint in Peru, Indiana. They were first sent to Kansas and next to Ottawa County, Oklahoma, where they are today.
We've always had people who, viewed us as human beings who deserve respect and should be treated fairly. There's always been people like that. But that's not necessarily who gets to make the decision on these things.
The commemoration process happens at sort of assigned moments, and those commemoration moments use historical figures to satisfy their own cultural moment. Now we have much more of an appreciation of the complexity of what happens in the Midwest, and that process is so much muddier and messier. I don't know what the next step will be in terms of how he's commemorated. That's so much an important part of history. The quest is to find the harder things to find, not the easier things to find.